hour, so if you're down with it, I'm going to kick off the proceedings.
Okay.
Welcome to the smartest people in the room. We are so glad you're here with us, and just by showing up, you are already demonstrating your very own smarts. And welcome to Women's History Month on our platform, where we are going all out to celebrate incredible women all month long, starting with today. Today, I'm so thrilled to present a trio of Nashville songwriting royalty along with Bart Herbison, the head of the NSAI. This is going to be a masterclass in hit songwriting, among other great topics. Before we get started, let me take care of some business. First, to the audience, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat window. The reason we do these webinars is twofold. First, we want to showcase really smart people and the amazing work they do day to day in the music industry. But the second reason is a bit more nuanced. Many of you know that I am a music industry headhunter. I place music executives in roles throughout the industry. So by definition and function, I help people connect with companies. In this series, my goal is to help you make more connections, and I invite you to take full advantage of that opportunity. Specifically, I invite you to engage with the speakers and the other attendees in the chat of the Zoom. Please introduce yourselves, share your LinkedIn profile, say hello to your friends, and make some new ones. And ask questions of our speakers. We will try to address as many of those as possible during the interview. And I want to thank our sponsors for without their support, we couldn't keep this free. I want to thank First Horizon Bank, Bufkin Baker, Four Roses Bourbon, the Fairlane Hotel, the Tennessee Entertainment Commission, Lightning 100, Tennessee Brew Works, Moo TV, Jive Printing, Project Music, and Cushmaster's brand of CBD products. So let's get down to business. In today's host seat, we welcome back my good friend Bart Herbison.
Thank you.
Songwriters have no better friend than Bart. A Paris, Tennessee native, Bart is executive director of the NSAI, the world's largest not-for-profit songwriters trade organization and advocacy group dedicated to the songwriting profession. Established in 1967, NSAI's membership of nearly 5,000 spans the U.S. and many other countries. With more than 100 chapters, the association serves aspiring and professional songwriters in all genres of music. They also own the Bluebird Cafe here in Nashville. Under Bart's leadership, NSAI has gained prominence in the national legislative arena. His accomplishments include the adoption of the Music Modernization Act in 2018, the most important copyright law reform for songwriters in decades. He also helped create the Mechanical Licensing Collective. He also led the NSAI involvement in the 2016 Copyright Royalty Board trial that led to a historic 44% mechanical royalty increase for American songwriters, and also passage of the landmark Songwriters Capital Gains Tax Equity Act in 2006. In 2018, Bart received two prestigious national honors for his songwriter advocacy work: the Industry Legacy Award from the National Music Publishers Association and the IP Champions Award from the U.S. Chamber of Global Innovation Policy Center. He serves on the board of directors of the MLC. Welcome back, Bart. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Wow, we're done. That's it. See y'all. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Hang on a minute. And joining Bart as today's special guests are three of Nashville's most decorated and respected hit songwriters, the Love Junkies. That's Hillary Lindsey, Lori McKenna, and Liz Rose. Individually, these three women have earned an incredible list of awards and recognition. Their list of credits would take hours for me to review, but let me just hit some of the highlights. Hillary Lindsey has written 25 #1 hits, including Carrie Underwood's Grammy winner, Jesus Take the Wheel. She has won the CMA Triple Play Award 3 different times. This prestigious award honors a songwriter who has penned at least 3 chart-topping hits within a 12-month period, and she's done that 3 times, folks. Other A-listers who've recorded her songs include Lady Gaga, Keith Urban, Taylor Swift, Avicii, Florida Georgia Line, Casey Musgraves, Luke Bryan, Dierks Bentley, Lady Antebellum, and countless others. Lori McKenna is also a prolific songwriter as well as a performer in her own right. In addition to the aforementioned girl crush, she has established smash hits for many top artists, including Lady Gaga, Faith Hill, Sarah Evans, Keith Urban, Little Big Town, Brandi Carlile, Alicia Keys, among others. She wrote Tim McGraw's Grammy winner, Humble and Kind, and has also won numerous CMA, ACM Song of the Year awards. And lastly, Liz Rose has written dozens of hit songs for many of the industry's top performers. She's well known for writing 20 of Taylor Swift's hits, including Grammy winner White Horse. She's written hits for Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, Tim McGraw, Dan and Shay, Blake Shelton, and many others. In addition to her 2 Grammy wins, she's also won Song of the Year from the CMA and the ACM. Please welcome these amazing guests to the smartest people in the room. Take it away, Bart.
Thank you. I'm going to start with the screen share. Do you know how you've made it as a songwriter? When you're on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. I've always loved this headline. Y'all remember when that came out? Love the picture. I love everything about it.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
Well, look at you. You are like in high finance over here, Miss Hillary. Look at that.
I never
That's the Wall
saw
Street
that.
Journal. I think it was from 2017. Well, let's scroll on
It
down.
says the songwriting moms.
2016.
I
The
never saw
Songwriting
that.
Moms.
I've never seen this.
Well, look at me giving the Love Junkies something they didn't know about. Now, again, we're done. But here's what I want to play off of. And the story is so apropos because it talks about your successes, but you're all also pretty frank about the challenges of trying to wear so many hats, which we're going to get into later. But I want to start with these 2 words, songwriter supergroup. So to me, you're all superheroes. And so we're going to start with the origin story. So Spider-Man got bit by a radioactive spider. Superman's from a planet with a red sun. What's the origin story for this supergroup, the Love Junkies? And y'all all chime in.
Liz, you want to kick it off?
Liz.
I think it was just, I mean, we started out that our publishers thought it would be cool for the 3 of us to get in a room together. And we had all kind of written with each other in weird ways, but never really together. So they thought it would be great. So they kind of put us together for 3 days. And we ended up at my condo writing for 3 days. And then first song in, maybe second song, I can't remember. I always remember everything wrong. But we said something about Love Junkie in the song, and I piped up and said, this is so cool, we could be the Love Junkies. Just because when you find, first of all, a friendship and you get in a room with I would say first these women, these friends and songwriters, and how much fun we had. It's like you want to lock them in the room forever. You don't ever want this to end. So I thought, let's be the Love Junkies. And lo and behold, we started having slumber parties and bonded over life and stories and exes and wine and eggs and all kinds of stuff. So that's where it came from.
Lori, pick it up from there, because I want to ask a specific question too, because I've never heard this before. Now, I know it's like a camp out every time you get together now, but 3 days, your very first writing appointment was 3 days? That was unusual, right? Was it because you're out of town or what?
Yeah, I think that's why they did the 3 days, because normally I would come in town on like a Monday morning and leave Wednesday evening, and I always stayed with Liz. So the publishers just thought, well, let's just put them all together for the 3 days. And Liz and I had so much. Liz sort of really taught me how to co-write. I didn't know how to co-write until I got to Nashville, and I started with Liz and Brandy Clark and Mark D. Sanders. And when they put the 3 of us together, Liz and I probably had a ton of songs under our belt together, but the 3 of us sort of fell in love right away,
I think the 3 days too, for me, like that was before I had a child. So I had no responsibilities. I had a boyfriend and a cat, but the cat had a litter box. So that was fun.
Well, you had responsibilities to the cat.
The cat had a litter box. The cat had a litter box. So I could leave food and water out, but so we were really able to really seriously, like I would take a bag with like pajamas and my, my face wash and toothbrush
Yeah.
and we'd seriously like camp out. It was so fun.
We did try to sleep in the same bed one night, but it didn't.
That didn't work.
We lasted about 30 seconds because of snoring.
I
But
started snoring and Hillary went,
we're not that close, but we do love each other.
Yeah. I couldn't take the snoring. Yeah.
Truett, please tell me this costs extra. Is this not under the, it's infectious every time I'm around. And this is why I've interviewed a million people, but I told Liz earlier, I got so excited. I got a little bit nervous about this last night. Liz.
Oh.
So did you three knew of each other, but how much did you know about each other before that first session? Was it at your house, Liz, or?
yeah, Lori and I had been writing for a lot
Okay,
for
all right.
a while.
Probably a couple years, right?
I think Hillary and Lori, yeah, well, I don't know how long ago it was, so I can't. But and then Hillary and Lori had written once,
I know,
and
one time.
Hillary and I had never. We had a co-write, but we had never written in the same room together.
Really, I just wow. So
Yeah,
we're gonna.
I was fans of the both of them from afar for a while, for a long while. But they did have a little bit more of a working relationship. So I was kind of the one getting thrown into the whole condo, a pack a bag thing. I'm like, what the hell am I about? What am I getting into? But it sure was fun. I'm glad I did it.
There's a lot of music industry.
This is not a 2-year-old I'm doing this to. It's my husband.
Oh, okay. Hey, Tom. Hey, Tom. Tell him I miss him. You know I love your husband.
We said hi.
Holy cow.
Tell him we're live on Nationwide. We're on the damn Wall Street Journal. Come on, Tom. And by the way, Hillary, since you don't know any better, I worked my butt off to get y'all on the Wall Street Journal, just so you know.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I did.
Were you the only one that got a copy of it?
Well, I'd never seen it, but I was looking for a picture of you guys. I was looking for that picture and I forgot where I saw it, and I saw it last night, and I always love that picture.
Never saw
I
that.
don't know how that never got brought.
Well, I'm going to see if we can get you guys an actual one from the archives, and I'll get it framed for you. How about, I owe you anyway, Liz. Let's see if we can do that. Okay?
I'm going to hold you.
And I know you will remind me, I was going to say, so.
You know what that night's from? That's from the night we sang with Carrie. We sang with Carrie Underwood. That's but I don't know.
I could get my hair colored.
Well, we're going to break it down to the constituent parts for a minute. We're going to spend a little time with each of you individually. So Lori, I think all three of you to some degree, but you didn't take the traditional route in becoming a professional songwriter. Give us your story.
Well, because I don't live in Nashville, my whole road to here was unique in the way that I live in Boston, and I was making records here and trying to figure out how to get to Nashville. People would come up to me after shows and be like, you know what, you should sell your songs to country artists and things like that. I'm like, yeah, no, like, anybody know how to do that? Like, how does that work? And I didn't know anybody that went to Nashville really to build a career.
Because you were living in the Boston area.
Yeah. And I've always been here. And Mary Gaucher moved to Nashville, who's a dear friend of mine. And I started out in like the open mic world in Boston with Mary. And she moved to Nashville. And within about a year or two, I released a record called Bittertown, and Mary Gaucher gave that record to Melanie Howard, who was my first publisher, who gave that record to Missy Gallimore, who gave the record to Faith Hill. So as I always say, like the string of women were really just all, just like lined up to become my guardian angels in my introduction to Nashville. And I was really lucky in the way that Faith cut some of my songs right from the beginning. So I didn't have the expectation of, you have to move here. You'll never get a cut if you don't move here. No, now that I know exactly how that, things work in general, I know that is crazy that it happened that way. I have 2 kids.
I mean, well, look,
so
at the end of the day, we can all give advice. There is sort of a way things happen. You're one of the best songwriters ever. And I will remember 2 or 3 people gave me that same CD. maybe Mary gave it to me, or I'm not sure, Melanie or somebody. And they were piling up, and I listened to it till like over the holidays, and it was several months. And then I heard it and I'm like, okay, I get it. Because you were one of those writers that happens about every 10 years that weren't part of the community that everybody was buzzing about.
Yeah.
So you were 28 when you played your first open mic? Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
I mean, I never knew I could
But-
do music. It was always my favorite thing to do, other than, just be with my family. But it really, Nashville has been a huge blessing for me, and these girls right here, and it's changed my whole life.
Well, you've given that blessing back to millions of people. On Facebook the other night, a friend I haven't connected with in years, we used to work for the governor together 30 years ago. Her name's Deborah Sievers Smith, sent me this. And I hope you know how your songs, all of you, how they touch people's lives. So check this out. Let me see here if I can find it. Back here, move the panel around. This just blew me away. And of course, there it is right there. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
That's painted on the side of her barn. And she's got a thing where kids have to pass by this to get to where they're going in here. And that just, I said, I'm showing that to Lori. Is that not amazing?
That's amazing. Tell her I said thank you 1,000,000 times. That's so beautiful.
Oh, well, but I think you get caught up in the doing of it and the recording of it and the performing of it. And I know you hear stories after rounds, but the three of you have probably touched more lives than some religions, seriously. So I want to thank you for that. And one more thank you, by the way, Lori. It was about a year ago that COVID hit, and we all are closing about this time about a year ago. And John Platt, the CEO of Sony, reached out and gave us $250,000. Half of that we distributed in $1,000 grants to the Writer Foundation. You really may be, with all your travel and your kids, the busiest person I know. And I called you, and I'm like, Bart, what's he going to ask me? And I wasn't even through it. You said, count me in. And by the way, I'm not going to make a premature announcement, but get ready for another call from me. It's going to be
Oh, no.
okay. But I thank you. We created a not-for-profit writer foundation, and I still hear from songwriters where that $1,000 kept them in their apartment. So thank you.
Well, I mean, my job was easy. You guys did all that work, that wonderful work, and helped all those people. And it's just unbelievable what you did. So thank you.
Well, talk about coming around it a different way. Liz was a publisher. You're telling songwriters how to fix their songs. Pick it up from there.
Well, when my kids went to school, I wanted to get a job. So I ended up getting a job as a song plugger, not knowing what that was. My husband at the time was in the music business, and we just went to a party, and I met someone, and I said I was looking for a job, and he said, well, I think you'd make a great song plugger. And I didn't know what that was, but I wanted a job. So I said, okay. And I went to his office and sat down, and he told me all about how to pitch songs to A&R people and artists. He was a publisher. And I did that for about a year, and decided that I really liked it, and I would take writers to him, but he didn't love them all. So I just kind of went over to the side and started my own independent song plugging business. And from there started a publishing company. And while I was running the publishing company, I just kept going in and fixing bridges for writers. They'd be stuck, and I'd go, well, why don't you just say this? And then one of my writers just, I'd written a couple of joke songs, drinking fun, with people, but wasn't a writer at all, and never wrote when I was young. I love music. I knew every word to every song, but never wrote poems or anything like that. I would never dare do that. Never wrote in a journal because I was always afraid somebody would find it. And so this writer just said, why don't we, Kim McLean, And she just said, why don't you try writing a song? Let's write a song. And we did, and we started writing songs. And from there,
Thank you, Cam.
yeah,
No, I'm serious. I'm
She-
thanking Cam.
seriously, she had the patience and taught me how to write. And
By the way, there's somebody here. I'm going to interrupt. It's Michelle McCord that says, "Hey, Liz, I remember
Ah.
those days." Yeah.
yeah, Michelle
And
was
we'll
one
get
of
some
the
more of that in a
first
minute.
people. She was a writer artist that I worked with in the beginning, and then she started writing with me. So there were a lot of great people that trusted me with their songs, and then trusted me to write songs with them. So I had a lot of great mentors that were very patient with me and encouraging, because here's the thing, in this town, when you've got a great song plugger, which I was pretty good, the last thing you want them to do is start writing songs. Because
Rosie
you want 'em to be-
Fitzpatrick also sending you a shout out.
yeah, hey Rosie. And so I had a lot of encouragement, a lot of A&R encouragement, and I just started writing. And
Well,
crazy
after
enough,
you-
started getting cuts.
And after you got a lot of those cuts and after you had a lot of success, it became full circle. You opened up your own publishing company that's sort of a family affair, and you've developed a lot of new important songwriters in this town.
Right. Jody Williams actually heard a couple of my songs and made me be a songwriter. He called me up and said, I've heard some songs and I think you're a songwriter. And I said, no. But he made me be a songwriter, literally forced me, got me fired from my job, and hired me to pitch songs and write songs.
That's
So,
one way of doing it.
and then when he left, I didn't know what to do when he went to BMI. So I just started my own company with my son. And
Also a thank you. So when songwriters are hot, they have to realize there's a window for that, and you have to drive, toward all your opportunities. But I called you, it's in a few years before the Music Modernization Act, and we know we're going to have an opportunity finally maybe to change all these things. And I asked you to serve on the board. You said yes. The National Music Publishers Association never had songwriters on their board. And it's something that the late Busby really insisted on, Ross Gold and a lot of others. And, it was a precedent-setting thing. And I think because we worked so well together and you did such a great job on what I'm going to talk about in a second during an important trial, that David Israelite asked you and Ross Golan to be the first two writers to represent our side of the profession on the board. So thank you for that too, Liz. Then we had a big trial, and we have a government constructed body called the Copyright Royalty Board that every 5 years determines mechanical rates if we choose to go to trial. We had gone to trial once before in the digital era, and I'm glad we did, because that's how we got a percent of the money instead of, and it was going to grow over time. But 5-6 years ago now, we decided we had to, that it couldn't get any worse. 3 songwriters represented every songwriter in America, and you were one of them. And what I hoped you would do, and what you did so effectively, Liz, she wrote songs for Taylor Swift, it's this, that, or other, you're bajillionaires, not realizing how little writers get made and how somebody like you often takes that and puts it back into developing the next generation of songwriters. It was so emotional, you made the judges cry. You remember that day? Talk to us about it.
yeah, somebody objected, I think, when I started crying, and they were objected to something else, and I thought they were objected to me crying. It was.
And then let me come. So let me do a little acting job, Liz. Like, say I object, Tom. You be the judge and say I object.
I object.
And that was all they had to say. Then Liz took over.
It was scary, but I mean, I think I came from it as a person that has been, I was raising kids. I was a single mom, and I just wanted them to understand that songwriters live on credit for years and years and years. And if they ever have a hit and they get anything from it, they're paying off those years.
And you did it so effectively. Steve Bogard and Lee Thomas
They
Miller
were
were the other
amazing.
two witnesses. And we won a 44.5% pay increase, the largest in history. It's under appeal, but I feel very confident we're going to get it.
Yeah.
We,
I feel
we
good.
need to get that appeal finished because we're about to start the next trial. We're about to start a trial for the rate, and we don't know what the last rate is, but we'll get there. All right. You know, in this industry, what would typically be an insult out in mainstream society is a compliment. Is Hillary a freak or what? I mean, I've had so many. We're going to talk about you with you present for a second.
Ooh, fun.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
You're strumming a chord, and Hillary sings the first verse, right, Lori? Doesn't that happen from time to time?
I mean, I said a word and Hillary sings the verse. Of course,
I mean,
she's a genius. Hillary's a genius. I mean, we can all agree on that.
Hillary
Well-
is a genius. And I'll tell you, we have been writing for years, the three of us. And
you're,
I always knew how amazing, I know how amazing, and she's always been amazing. And Zoom is hard. She has blown my mind. Even more.
Listen, the two of them drink a lot of wine. They're probably intoxicated right now.
I think
Give a word they say. Don't believe them.
that's-
Don't
no,
believe them.
I've seen it. I've seen it, Hillary, and I do. I mean, I've been fortunate to be around every songwriter I ever wanted to be around. You got something like it. You get into this zone, there's this energy, and hell, I feel like I could write a song when I'm around you. But I remember this night. You know, Hillary's busy, and sometimes she might answer my call, and maybe she wouldn't. So she answered the first one when we gave her Song of the Year for Jesus Takes the Wheel. A few years later, she actually answered, and she goes, I'm in a rush. And I went, okay, I'll call you back. She goes, what is it? I said, you got it again for Girl Crush. September 17th of 2017 was the 50th anniversary. It's this poster back here of over here of NSAI. We performed 51 songs or did interviews, or 51 songs of the year. And that night, it was so special to me, Hillary. You won your third for Blue Ain't Your Color, and it was presented by the guy you tied, Chris Christopherson. You're the only three writers ever to win 3 songs of the year that the songwriters voted on. You remember that night? I mean,
Do I remember that night? Yes.
I cried more than once, just
Yes.
of joy, just from joy.
It was an emotional roller coaster. I remember him. Well, first off, I should have never worn a jumpsuit because they're really hard to take off when you got to pee. Because I was nervous and I found myself having to pee a lot. Dresses, you can just hike on up and pee. So that just FYI, any girls out there.
Hold on, aspiring songwriters don't wear a jumpsuit at an award show.
It's not smart. But my mom was just like, oh my God, he's so hot. He's so hot. I got to meet him. Do I get to meet him? I'm like, Mom, calm it down. Yes, you get to meet him. But so there was just all this, going on. And then the moment actually happened. And I was just, honestly speechless. I really didn't know what to say. And he grabbed my hand and he shook it and I was shaking and I felt tears welling up in my eyes. And he said, baby, you remember this one. You remember this. Hold on to this because I don't remember mine. And it broke my heart.
Well, Chris has obviously had issues with dementia, but I'm going to tell you something. And
it was amazing.
I know Chris a little bit, enough to speak to this. I would have been jealous a little bit, like she's tying my record. She's probably going to break it. I've never been around anybody anywhere that presented something like that. I think he may have been more proud of you than you were of yourself. It was amazing, Hillary.
Well, it was a very, very special night, and I owe it all to you and NSAI because this was all.
By the way, she answers my calls on the first ring now. Just so.
I'm just gonna every time I need to call you, I'm just gonna go to Bart and go.
You are crazy. Y'all are all crazy.
What? I'm gonna steal Hillary's
doing a million
Bart.
things.
Bart, I'm gonna steal Hillary's phone and put your number in.
There you go.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I had no idea that I had tied with anyone, or especially I didn't even know about it. So this was all you and and NSAI, and I really appreciate y'all making that such a special moment for me. That was really awesome.
We're going to get back into the Junkies group dynamic in a second, but Lady Gaga, talk to us. Tell us the story.
Well, there's not a whole lot to say, honestly, other than that it was a trip. It was a trip to a physical trip to Malibu and a crazy mental musical head trip of a time. It was really amazing. And she's, you know, I don't know a lot of famous people like that. And I was at her house riding with her in Malibu, and
How did that happen? Let's start there. Did the publishers connected, or
I
think
got a
she
call.
she knew about your writing is what I was
She
saying.
was a fan of the song
Yeah.
Jesus Take the Wheel.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I got a call from a friend, Kevin Williamson, who used to work in LA. Now he lives here in Nashville. And he said, "Hey, do you remember, you know, so-and-so, he met you at a party when you were like 23, when you were out here working this LA thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember him. How does he remember me?" And he was like, "I don't know. He remembers you, and he works with Lady Gaga." And he told Lady Gaga, maybe she should write with you. Like, literally, I'm almost 45. I was like 23. I have no idea why I popped in his head, but I popped in his head. And she said she knew my name because she was a fan of Jesus Take the Wheel. And anyway, they asked me to come out there. They said, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "No, I don't. I'm too scared. I don't want to do it. I don't."
But you killed it.
But I did. And honestly, I went out there and I was very, very scared. But once like we sat down and started talking and we had like a glass of wine, I mean, she's from like New York. She's a city girl. I'm from a teeny country bumpkin town in Georgia. We are polar opposite girls. She's got crazy, beautiful platinum hair and her body is perfect. And I'm like, you know, grays and just a mess. But we could have been friends like instantly. Like, I'm like, oh, me and you would have been tight in high school. Like, I could tell, like she was just so real and so honest. And what a musical genius she is, really. Like, when she sits down on the piano, it's pretty mind blowing, honestly. But yeah, that was a pretty special moment. It was fun.
Time for the next screen share. And I want to tell the audience to stop what you're doing, because this is very brief, and turn it up. Okay, hold on just a minute. I'm proud of some of our accomplishments: the Music Modernization Act, buying the Bluebird, the Music Mill, Copyright Royalty Board trial. But on the fun, creative side, this is singularly my favorite moment in 24 years of this job. So y'all hang on. I think you know what it's going to be. And here we go. Is everybody ready?
We got a Bart crush. We hate to admit it, but
That's all we need. Right? Oh, we got to play that again one more time. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Bart crush. We hate to admit it, but
That's all we need. Right? Let me tell you what, I've spent that like currency everywhere I go. But I want to talk about that day. So Liz, you're about to move, but you have this perfect house it's sort of an island in the country, right in the middle of Nashville, and Bellevue up on the hill, tomato plants the size of tomatoes the size of cantaloupes. What was it like after you became the Junkies? Just take us through writing a camp out at Liz's house, because that's basically what it was.
Oh gosh. I mean, we have our staples. We have Cheetos or Cheez-Its and wine and coffee and scrambled eggs and blueberry muffins and chicken salad. And they just show up with their bags. And
who's the last one to get up in the morning for the ride?
well, that would be Hillary.
Yeah. I think Hillary had jammies on when we
honestly-
got over there that day.
But
So.
listen, in Hillary's defense, Liz gets up very early and I'm an hour
True
behind.
that. Yeah,
point.
that's
what I
right.
was gonna say. We get up super early.
Yeah, let's be real though, real quick. I ain't gonna lie. You can't tell. I put on a little makeup, but I basically still have on pajamas right now. I got my
I love
cozy
it.
blanket.
I love it. Well, do you remember the day you wrote that song, Girl Crush? What's the story?
Oh, I remember it vividly.
Because I think you're like, I don't get it till
No,
the
I
freak
didn't.
show down here like sang a verse or.
I didn't even talk about whether I get it or not.
By the way, Truett
First
wants to
said
be
I
a
got this
cabana
idea.
boy at the next Love Junkie retreat. So
Yeah.
I'm just bossy. I'm bossy, and Lori said, "Let's write girl. I've got an idea. I want to write a song called Girl Crush." And I said no, and she said, "No, no, no. It's a really good idea." Go
Well,
ahead.
in Liz's defense, she was making breakfast. Hillary wasn't down yet. Liz was making breakfast. She had her back to me when I said it. And we only had a couple hours or maybe an hour and a half before Karen and Kimberly were coming over.
Little Big
So
Town, for those that don't know, are on their way over.
So Karen Fairchild and Kimberly Chapman are on their way over with wine and brownies. And we know this is
Whoa,
happening.
whoa, 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 whoa. Wine and brownies?
It's brown, right? Not
Okay.
like,
Real brown, normal brownies.
like straight up good brownies, but not like brownies.
All right.
But,
We're just getting the record straight here because this could be in the Wall Street Journal tomorrow, Lori. Come on.
Well, literally, yeah.
We knew that they were coming, and in Liz's defense, I think that title, what I think happened is I didn't have an idea for the title. I just had the title, and she thought, oh, that will be too tricky. We'll never finish it in that time. And it's best if you only have a small period of time like that to do something that we know, oh, I see the whole picture. I know how it's going to go. What happened when Hillary heard it is she sang the first 4 lines.
I mean,
So she
Literally
knew,
sat on the couch.
but if we
Michelle Shock's got to get off. She's sending a shout out to y'all. She says, this is more fun than shooting fish in a barrel. Hey, Michelle. And by the way, that's a hell of a
Thanks for
compliment from
joining.
her. So
I know, that's so nice. But Hillary knew what to do with the well, Hillary's body, I think, knew what to do with the song. The grace of the songwriting gods and Hillary's genius met that title, and she sang it. And I don't even know if you didn't think about it. I didn't see you think about it. There was no time, and you said, you mean like that. And when Liz heard those 4 lines, she took out her book and she said, okay, I'm in. And
on board.
you know, but I always make fun of Liz for shooting down the title, but in her defense, there was all these, it wasn't just the title she was shooting down, it was the time. And
It sounded
Yeah.
like
Well, the song was a little bit controversial too, but that I think people heard it, and I don't even want to get into that. And then what mattered was what the audience thought, because I just think the whole damn thing is so genius. It seems to me an obvious device sort of construct to write it from that way, but nobody ever
Well,
did it till you guys did it.
What's funny is as quickly as those lines did come out of me, and I really was not thinking at all, which goes to show you that I am not whatsoever close to a genius.
No,
For whatever
is-
reason,
Hillary, that
I was a
is
vessel.
the genius. That's the genius.
I was a vessel though, and something tapped in. I don't know what that was, but I'm so thankful for it. And when that happened, it happened to all of us. None of us were thinking. Lori would be like, blah, 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 and Liz would be like, blah, 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 and I'd be like, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, it was 45 minutes and the song was done, and we had not thought about a single thing. We
so
did not
fast.
think.
It was a miracle that it all made sense so fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
I scribbled
Well-
very little.
we didn't know if it made sense too either, Bart. Like we had to play it for Liz's son Scott came over to bring us lunch or something, and we were like, "Hey, we listen. Does this make sense?" Because it was
Yeah.
so fast, and I think that what our job was that day was to get out of the way of that song and let the song be.
And by the way, young
that's-
songwriters, say that again, Lori. This is a lesson in and of itself.
we got out of the way and we let the song will take you down a road that you don't expect. A lot of times it's hard to follow the song truly with the more people you have involved, but we know each other so well, and we trust each other and respect each other. And in that day, we respected that song and what it wanted to do.
So
That
what
100%
happened-
was a day of, I would say 100% heart and 0% head. It just felt its way out, you know?
And has there ever been a greater song written? Not in my book. What happened when the ladies showed up?
They said, "What have y'all been writing?"
Yeah.
What have y'all been writing?
And Liz said, "Oh, well, we wrote this song. We can play it." And they were like, "We want to hear the work tape." And it was in the morning. I was clearly, it sounded like we had been drinking wine. I had like a head cold and it was like, I got it. Good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do not play this song, Liz. I'm going to kill you. And she pressed play. She pressed play and they freaked out. Like, I remember they both
Okay.
had
Okay.
tears in their eyes.
Never cut this.
Who is the best female singer in the world?
Carrie
You-
Underwood
you-
and
but
Lady
no, Hillary,
Gaga.
serious for real. I love your singing. I
Thank
love
you.
your voice. I love the way
Thank
you
you, Bart.
wrote. But I'm going to true confess a little bit here too. Look, Harry Styles was cute. It was the boy band thing, and I got it, and they were okay. But I didn't really get it. And somebody hit me up one night, like they sent me a link to him doing that song on YouTube. Y'all have seen this, right?
Yeah, we
He
did.
sings his ass off, and I went, I totally get it. And I've got a huge Harry Styles playlist now because of that performance that night.
Oh, wow.
Why did he do it? Do you know? Because I mean, he even hit some vocal ranges here. I'm like, okay, it's stunning.
I think he was just a fan of the song.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know how he heard it. If someone turned him on to it, if he randomly came across it, I have no idea.
Mhm.
Well, the title's Girl Crush, and there are some very important conversations that are going on about inclusivity and not discriminating. I'd love to just open the floor for anything you want to say on that topic. I mean, our own organization is really taking a look at what we do and how we do it. And I don't think we've discriminated, but I certainly think we can make a proactive effort to be more inclusive, and we're actually doing that. So I'll start with the question. Even for you three superstars, it's harder for a female in this business. Am I right? No?
I'm gonna say I've never not had something because I was a female.
Okay.
Now it might be harder to get in the rooms with the male artists, but
Okay.
it's not for Hillary. And I no, this is a compliment to you, Hillary. I'm just saying. So the only thing I would say is that we write a lot of female songs, and
Mhm.
so there aren't as many females out there putting out records or on the radio. So it cuts the numbers down. But as far as being a female,
So it's not,
any of us can write with guys or write guy songs.
it's the volume of opportunities for those kinds of songs.
Well, I think it's a trickle down thing. I think that I do write with a lot of guys. I mean, y'all write with guys too,
Yeah.
and I write with guy artists and y'all write with guy artists. But I mean, for the most part, if a guy's writing a song about, and not all guys write songs like this, so this is being very generic and loose and very cliche. But if a guy is writing a song about the country or the truck or the fishing or whatever, they're gonna want to probably write it with somebody who truly really lives that life. Not the girl that's wiping her 5-year-old's honey and trying to cut her fingernails or whatever.
Yeah, but
it's easier for that. But I will say that not to bring up this, but I do think that Luke Combs made a pretty amazing, beautiful comment. I think we probably have our trials and our things that we have to hurdle. Sometimes as songwriters, I think it's probably harder for women artists and what they're trying to face. And I think Luke Combs said it in the best way. He said, if I said I didn't have it any easier or I had it any easier, I did not have it any easier. What am I trying to say? I did not have it easier than some of my female people that are, that would be a total lie. That would be a lie. So I think that what you're saying is true. I think that NSAI, though, I feel like, God, Liz has been on that panel now for how many years? I think you've got lots of women at NSAI.
Well, I got to tell you, and for a lot of reasons, but the minute Liz showed up, we started winning things. Everybody's like, here comes Bart. They're gonna Don Quixote. Can you help fund the thing? And I don't know. I think that there just was a different group of writers, different generation of writers, and we've managed to do some things, and we're not done yet, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Anything anybody else want to add on this topic? Because it's important.
It's very important. I mean, I think we continue to sign female writers and artists, and I do feel the difference is that, and this is I'm not being disparaging at the guys, but we can sign a lot of the same guys get signed, a lot of the same things. We can't tell them apart. The songs are the same. It's okay, because this is about the fans and what the fans want. It's about their consumption, not about what we want. But the girls tend to have to really stand out and really change things. And the girls aren't more the same. The girls all stand out, which is fantastic, because now we have Haley Witters, we have Ingrid Andress, we have Ashley McBride, we have all the,
My current favorite, Tennille Towns. So just
I know. I mean, there's just so many fantastic girls right now. And then the guys are fantastic too. I think our music is healthier and better than it has been in a long, 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 long time. And I'm very excited for the future.
Thank you all for that. I'm going to go to some questions from the audience. I think this is a shout out to you from Boston, Clint Valadares, Berklee College of Music Senior Management Director. Shout out from Boston. Let's see, Austin, Nashville, New York City. Hey Liz, Rosie from MCA. Amanda from Jamber, we know them. Michael Roth, let's see if there's any questions here. There's a lot. You have a whole lot of bands, writers, female and male, that want you to sign them, Liz. So there's
And
a lot.
Hillary just started a publishing company.
Whoa. Breaking news. Hold on. Let me get
News.
Talk to us.
Yes, Jake Gear and I started a publishing
By the
company
way,
together.
you're gonna have success if you just said that. I love Jake. If I were gonna start a publishing company, he'd be one of the people I'd hire for.
Yes, he is a badass. He is awesome. He's so passionate. He's such a hard worker. But yep, we started a company. It's called Hang Your Hat Music, and we are partnered with Concord Music with Brad Kennard and the good folks over there. So we're just kind of getting started, and it's going to be a fun time, I hope.
Have you actually signed anybody yet, or?
We have signed Chris LaCourte, who is an amazing songwriter. I don't really want to use the word up and coming, because he already has a Sam Hunt single on the chart and lots of good fun things in the works. So he's our first signing, and we've got a couple more that I don't want to say yet, because it's not on the dotted line yet. But yeah.
Liz, Walt Wilkins says hello. Hadn't heard from Walt in a while. That's cool.
Gosh, I miss Walt.
You've got the NSAI Scotland chapter. The whole chapter's tuned in.
Liz, you literally know everybody. They're all coming out to say hey to you.
To us.
Nobody said hey to me. Don't nobody like me.
So I am about down here. Tom, if you see a question I have missed, these are mostly just shout outs.
Oh, I see questions.
Where are some questions?
Bart, there's a couple in the Q&A that
okay, they're in Q&A. My bad. I'll get those right here.
Thank you, Rosie. Somebody said.
You are invited to perform at the Rhinestone stage at the Glenn Campbell Museum. Okay, I'll ask all three of you this.
Lori's
and I know
our agent.
these are two young writer artists that are awesome, Hannah and Madge Ross. They're NSAI regulars. And they ask, what's one of your favorite lyrics you've ever written? And we'll go through all three, and we'll start with Hillary. We'll go counterclockwise.
Oh my gosh, that is a ever-changing one for me. It's the same question. I'm sorry, whoever is asking this. I have a terrible time answering this question.
Let me give you one of mine right now, and I love everything you've ever written, but I'm kind of obsessed with blue. It's a 4/4 time blues song. I mean, it's not something that you look at and it's like, it's not intended to be one of these intense story songs with a lot of lyrical tricks. That's the hardest damn song to write ever that I care about. And y'all killed that. I feel like that's probably another one where you could have really gotten in your own way. Tell us
Yeah,
about that song
yeah.
quickly.
Well, I'll take that one. I love that one, Bart. Let's go with that one for me for now.
Well, I mean, I do. It's the hardest song to write. A love song that I care about, that's in that time signature, that's not going to be lyrically intensive. So every word better have a
Yeah.
meaning, Hillary, is where I'm coming from on it. So
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it is like we want to do, I call it doing the 615. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, did I just get 2615? Like you want to sometimes be really smart and clever and tricky and or not tricky, but do the spin or the hook or, you know, or whatever. And which is, I think is brilliant. The writers that can do that. And I maybe have been able to pull that out of my hat once or
is
twice,
that the
but-
first time you'd written with either one of those co-writers or no?
I had written with Stephen Lee before in a separate situation, but that was the first time the three of us had written together.
Well, usually you don't come out with something like this. I mean,
Yeah, man, that was also a fun day.
Lori?
Sometimes you just have special days. I'll give you a scenario where Hillary had a aside from her twist on Girl Crush, we wrote a song together, the three of us, called When You're My Age, that I spent 1 month at my house over here trying to figure out what the chorus is of that song. And I had the first verse and the last verse, and I had no chorus. And this is another example of magic happening in the room. And from now on, I should just videotape all of our co-writes. But
No.
once again, we didn't have a lot of time. We were going to the Country Music Hall of Fame for Little Big Towns, whatever was happening over there with Little Big Town. And we had like an hour and a half, and then again, like a short amount of time, I said, hey, I have these 2 verses and I've been like dying trying to figure out this song. And I knew it was called When You're My Age, but I didn't know how to do a chorus at all. And it just kept getting really dark, really dark, really dark when I was trying it. So I sang the first verse, and Hillary said, I don't want anything to do with that song. You need to finish it yourself. That's about your babies. Like, just.
By the way, the next time y'all get in one of those, throw a damn guy a bone. I'll be over there in 5 minutes. Come on.
The only reason I said that, though, in my defense, was she is such an amazing, obviously we know this, Lori is writer. I mean, Liz obviously is too, but she had done so much of that work by herself. It felt like she had already written this song by herself. I didn't want to jump. I felt like I was being, I was cheating. I was cheating.
Need of some serious help, and Hillary said no, and Liz literally started singing the chorus. Remember, Hillary? She just,
Yeah.
I wasn't playing,
she did.
and she said, "You'll outgrow your shoes. You'll outgrow this bed.
Yeah.
You'll outgrow this house." And we were like, "Oh, okay." So, and then we were stuck again. We didn't know where to go. We didn't know how to end this chorus that Liz had started. And Hillary said, "Oh, this is terrible. This is so 615. But like, if you wanted to, you could say like."
By the way, do you have your own gang sign to 615?
I've been trying to make t-shirts. I've been trying to do this shit for years, Bart.
615. Come on, it's got to be bold.
She was so down on it, and she said, "You could say, but when you grow up, you're always going to be my baby, even when you're my age." And Liz and I just started crying, like, what? Like, this never occurred to me.
About it.
This never occurred to me. And it was one of those things, and this is a lesson I learned from these guys. And I really can do this now because I've done it enough, and I think we all can, where you're in a room with somebody you don't even know, but you have to say something that you think might be stupid every now and then.
Yes.
Like, just gonna have to dare to suck, because
Yes.
you don't suck, but then the other person beside you is gonna take that piece of information and make it shine. Like, it happens over and over again. Of course, in that scenario, Liz started something that Hillary beautifully saw the ending of, the wrap up of, which I did not see for a month of searching. But you have to be brave enough to say, this is terrible, guys, but maybe this will make you think of something that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, of course, Hillary was right.
Liz, one of your lyrics, I love that thing you wrote. trying to remember where it ended up in a movie. And it's about songwriting. But what's yours? What's
Oh, no
yours?
music.
Yeah. What's the name of that song, by the way?
If there was
What
no
was
music.
There was
Oh my God. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
you
Mhm.
know,
And we played that for Congress, by the way. And they remember that because you wrote it about the time we were trying to get over the hump. We played that for some people and they're like, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I love that song. Sometimes you just got to write a song because the song needs to be written
Mhm.
and you don't worry about where it's going to go. And so, I don't know. I mean, they're so, when Hillary didn't get time to think about the question. And as I think about it, it's hard, because you write songs for different reasons and they,
Mhm.
they're just all over the place. You like ideas, I'm thinking of Lori McKenna lyrics when you say what's your, so I mean, I think of the lyrics for Your Next Lover of Lori, and I think about a song we just wrote with Brandy Clark, and I think about, it's just there's just so, luckily there's some.
Well, that came up. Kane Harrison says, Lori, Your Next Lover is one of the best songs ever. Has it ever been recorded besides you? And the perspective's so unique. What's the backstory? And we'll do a little bit of the condensed version because there's still a few things we need to get to.
Oh, what's the of Your Next Lover?
Well, first of all, anybody cut it besides you?
No.
Well, Hillary. So your song pluggers, Liz. I'm sure she'll get you a nice dinner. So
That song is the woman is not dead in that song, and I have had people say, is she dead? Like, why would she be so nice to him? It's just a story about, like, I know where you'll go next after this. Like, I know you so well that after leaving me, I know where you're gonna land, and that's really where it started.
well, one of the best songwriters everybody doesn't know about yet in Nashville, Michelle Pereira, and I'm serious about that. Do yourself a favor. With the three of you ladies being so well known in Nashville and being on everyone's wish list to co-write, do you feel like you always have to write the next Jesus Take the Wheel or Girl Crush? And how do you deal with that kind of pressure? And I think it's a damn good question. It's that you've set a high bar, all three of you, really.
You never set out to write those songs, right, Hillary, Lori? I mean,
No, you never know you never know you're going to be able to catch, lightning in a bottle ever. I mean, I don't, it's just, I think that there is a little pressure though, because sometimes it's like, it might not even be like all the way from you, from other people, like this person needs a hit. They needed this, they needed that. And I'm like, well, shit, if I could write this song every damn day, like we'd be great. Like I wouldn't have to, I'd write once a month instead of every single
Fair
day.
enough.
Like
it's a volume exercise. What you hope to do is get to the point where you never write bad songs, where they're consistent. But look,
but you
Ryan
literally
pitch,
have no idea what is going to happen in any given moment of any day of any co-write. You really don't. You just have to show up. You just have to show up.
Matt
it's a lot
Lubinsky.
to make a song a hit. It's not,
It can be the best song in the world, but if it doesn't go,
You got to meet the right
treatment or
artist at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask this song anyway. Matt Lubinsky asks, is there anyone you haven't worked with yet that you're dying to, not even in the country genre? And I'm going to apply that to other songwriters, not necessarily an artist, but anybody you want to write with. Liz, let's start with you.
I mean, that's a long list too, but I'm so happy.
Paul McCartney. Who'd you say?
No. Yes, Paul McCartney.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of people I'd like to meet and talk to, Jackson Browne, Carla Bonoff, Carole King, but Nashville has so many great songwriters that we don't have time to write with the people we already love. So that list is so
well, I have to tell a story. You reminded me something. I have those people. They're not songwriters. Mine was John McEnroe.
Oh.
And I knew Liz was hanging out with John and Patty. And so I'm like, we gotta meet him. We gotta meet him. And Liz knew, like, and she knows me well, like Bart. She'd say, yeah, maybe one day. What she's really saying is there's no way in hell I'm ever introducing you to them till you calm down and take a chill pill. BMI Awards, about 3 years ago, Liz calls me and says, Patty and Mac are coming. I'll try to introduce you. So we get over there, and it was right on the heels of the Music Modernization Act. Had a lot to talk to him. And so Liz like, John, meet Bart. And I go, yeah, yeah.
A lot of people did
I
that.
literally couldn't say anything. So she circles back around. Liz has my back. A minute later, she goes, he's not, he's, intimidated by you. She does it again. Like, and I'm like, okay, I'm John Herbison. And I couldn't even say it. Thank God we got to hang out at Lee Miller's house the next night. And I got to act like a human being, but thank you for that. That was as
He was very
starstruck as
nice.
I've.
He was very patient with everybody that night.
He sure was with me. There's a picture of John looking at me like this, and I'm just, it was goofy as hell. So
I got to watch all of that from like a couple of tables away. Who would have thought she brought Jesus to that award?
it was crazy.
My table's never been so popular. People would walk by. First of all, I got a really great table. And then people would walk by and go, hey, Liz, how you doing? I'm like, wow, you never talk to me. And then it's like, oh, hi.
Who are you?
I'm
And-
so popular.
And yeah, somehow they've got a program from the Wimbledon finals. But
That
last
was
question. Last question. And it's somebody said, why don't you ladies do a VH1 special? You've got so many things to share, but we're going to end with this screen share. You kind of have. Explain, ladies, what is this?
It's our Apple Music radio show, Love Junkies Radio.
And
It's so fun.
So fun.
We've only done one episode, and it's been super fun. It's a little bit like this, honestly. We're just kind of
Yeah,
talking
but-
and being friends and talking about our history and all that kind of stuff, interwoven with a bunch of songs in between. And yeah, we're trying to get the next one going for March.
the
So
first time the episode doesn't go like you want, call me in, coach. Send me in. I've always wanted to be, at least for one moment, the fourth Love Junkie. Well, thank you, everybody. This is
you.
perhaps the most fun interview I've ever done in my life. I love
Aw.
each of you individually,
Love you.
and our world is better for your songs. So thank you, and thank you, Tom.
thank you, Bart.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thanks for everybody hanging out with us today. It's so fun.
I know. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, guys.
Art, as
Thank you.
always, well done. Ladies, you are amazing. I could sit here and listen to 3 more hours of this. In fact, many in the
Hold on,
audience. have
Tom.
it.
That's Lori asking me to call Hillary. No, it's a joke. I couldn't resist. Could not leave that on the table. So.
Please keep doing what you do, because as he said, the world is better for it. So with
As long
that,
as they'll let us.
I want to also echo what I said at the top of the show, and that is we are celebrating women all month long here on this platform. On Thursday, 2 days from now, we're celebrating another one of our locals that I adore, and that is Beth Raybeck Hall. Please tune in, and we've got a whole litany of other great events teed up for the month of March. So please keep dialing into this program, folks. With that, I'm going to sign off and just say be nice to everyone and get a shot as soon as you can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.